How African countries build strong institutions. Africa unrestricted across Africa. Political conversations often focus on leaders. Elections, personalities, speeches, and scandals dominate the headlines. When things go wrong, blame is placed on whoever is in power. And when things improve, credit follows the same path. This focus on the individual feels natural. It's a simple, compelling story. But it's a story that distracts from a more fundamental truth about how nations achieve lasting progress. While leadership matters, the cycle of pinning all hopes on one person and all failures on another traps countries in a pattern of short-term fixes and recurring crises. The real engine of sustainable development isn't a person, it's a system. Strong countries are not built by strong individuals alone. They are built by strong institutions that continue working regardless of who is in office. This requires a shift in focus, away from personalities and towards systems. Instead of asking who is in charge, we should ask, are the rules of the game predictable? Is enforcement consistent and fair for everyone? And are essential public services reliable day in and day out? When the answer to these questions is yes, progress becomes embedded in the fabric of the state itself. It becomes durable. Understanding how to build these systems is the most critical challenge for governance today. It's not about one single solution, but a series of deliberate, practical steps across key areas. In this series, we will provide a roadmap exploring the essential pillars of institutional strength, from the legal frameworks that guarantee rights and the digital infrastructure that delivers services efficiently, to the professional civil service that executes policy, the financial systems that ensure transparency, and the oversight bodies that hold power to account. These are the components of a modern, effective state.
This is Africa Unrestricted.
Today's episode explores how African countries build strong institutions, what institutions actually are in practice, and why some countries manage to make them work while others struggle, even when intentions are good. An institution is a system that keeps functioning even when people change. Courts that enforce contracts, tax authorities that collect revenue, utilities that deliver electricity, and central banks that manage money all fall into this category. When institutions are strong, outcomes are predictable. When they are weak, outcomes depend on who is in charge. Across much of Africa, institutions exist, but their authority is often fragile. Rules change unexpectedly, enforcement is uneven, and decisions depend more on relationships than process. This creates uncertainty, even when policies are well-intentioned. By the early 2020s, African countries ranked lowest on average global indicators for regulatory quality and institutional capacity. This does not reflect intelligence or effort. It reflects how states were structured. To understand why institution building is so difficult, it helps to look at how modern African states were formed. The colonial project was not about nation building. It was a commercial enterprise backed by force. Administrations were designed with a single purpose: to control territory and extract resources as efficiently as possible. Legal systems, police forces, and tax collection were all instruments of coercion, not public service. Authority flowed downward from a distant metropole, not outward to the people. Institutions were there to enforce the power of the few, not to restrain it for the benefit of the many. This created a deep, foundational disconnect between the state and its subjects, a legacy of mistrust that echoes to this day. After independence, many new nations inherited these structures wholesale. The transition was often rushed, leaving little time or capacity to fundamentally redesign the machinery of government. The flags changed, the portraits on the walls were new, but the underlying logic of power often remained the same. Institutions continued to serve whoever held the executive office, rather than acting as stable, impartial systems that functioned above the political fray. Changing that required more than just passing new laws. It required a fundamental rewiring of incentives and expectations. The first step in breaking this pattern is to formally reverse the flow of authority. An authority rewiring charter can do this by establishing citizen-first service standards. This isn't just a mission statement, it's a binding contract. It defines the public's right to quality service, sets clear timelines for government responses, and crucially, establishes an independent grievance process. It legally empowers citizens to hold the state accountable for its performance, transforming them from passive subjects into active rights holders. The next step is to clear out the legal deadwood. Many countries are still governed by outdated decrees from colonial or authoritarian eras. These laws can stifle business, violate rights, and give officials arbitrary power. A Sunset Commission is a dedicated body tasked with identifying these legacy rules. It sets public repeal timers, creating a default path to modernization. If a law is still necessary, its defenders must make a public case for it. This simple mechanism shifts the burden of proof, forcing the system to justify the past rather than letting it linger by default. Looking forward, the most durable solution is to rebuild procedures from the ground up with citizens in the room. Civic co-design labs bring users and providers together to map out and rewrite processes from getting a business license to registering a property. By embedding user experience directly into the design of bureaucracy, these labs ensure that new systems are not just more efficient, but are built on a foundation of trust and legitimacy, finally breaking the cycle of inherited power.
Breaking that cycle requires a deliberate choice to give institutions authority that leaders themselves cannot easily override.
Several African countries show that this is possible. Botswana's story is often tied to its diamond wealth, but the real treasure lies in its systems. Early on, the nation chose predictable frameworks over personal rule. Revenue from diamonds wasn't just spent. It was meticulously managed through a transparent diamond-to-development pipeline. This meant clear, publicly accessible rules for auctions and royalty tracking, ensuring resource wealth translated into national progress, not private enrichment. This commitment to fiscal discipline was codified in what we can call Fiscal Rule 2.0, a system designed for stability, with structural balance targets and clear escape clauses for genuine emergencies. The country's courts retained their independence, a cornerstone of trust. This was reinforced with practical upgrades like e-filing systems with strict service-level agreements and the mandatory publication of court schedules. This didn't eliminate every challenge, but it prevented the kind of volatility that erodes trust over time. The lesson isn't about having diamonds, it's about building the consistency that makes any resource valuable. Looking forward, the next step is a sovereign data room, offering investors real-time dashboards on the rules of the game. Rwanda offers a different, yet complementary approach. Over the past 2 decades, the country has executed a masterclass in building administrative capacity from the ground up. Tax collection was digitized, but critically, this was paired with extensive outreach to small and medium-sized enterprises, using onboarding kits and even last-mile support vans to ensure e-invoicing reached everyone. Service delivery was standardized through one-stop counters, with performance measured relentlessly, using heat maps to identify and fix delays. They even deployed a compliance nudge engine, using simple SMS reminders and behavioral trials to boost tax compliance. This systematic focus reduced dependence on individual personalities and made the state a more reliable partner for its citizens and businesses. By the early 2020s, Rwanda's tax revenue as a share of GDP had increased significantly compared to the 1990s, reflecting institutional strengthening rather than resource windfalls.
Institutions made results repeatable.
Ghana demonstrates another path. Political competition is intense, yet core institutions have held. Courts function, elections transfer power peacefully, and the system remains intact even as leadership changes. This stability has not solved every problem, but it has prevented collapse and allowed gradual improvement. Durability matters more than perfection. Strong institutions produce tangible benefits. Investors plan when rules are predictable. Businesses grow when contracts are enforced. Citizens engage when enforcement feels fair. Governments shift from crisis management to development planning. Weak institutions, by contrast, make every decision fragile. Before we continue, a quick pause. If you've stayed with this video so far, it means this topic matters to you. Whether you're watching from Accra, Nairobi, Gaborone, Kigali, Lagos, or the diaspora, this conversation only grows if more people hear it. If you want to support the work, liking the video helps, sharing it helps even more, and subscribing helps us keep doing this consistently. Even doing one of those makes a real difference. All right, back to the video. Institutions are often described as boring, and that description is accurate. Their power lies in predictability. Predictable systems allow planning, and planning enables growth. Countries that develop successfully rely less on heroics and more on rules that work quietly. Africa is often told it needs visionary leaders. Vision helps, but vision without institutions fades quickly. Building institutions is slow work. Digitizing tax systems does not make headlines, but it raises revenue every year. Strengthening courts does not attract applause, but it reduces risk across the economy. These reforms are not glamorous, but they are decisive. They also reduce vulnerability. When institutions are strong, outcomes are harder to pressure from the outside, contracts are less negotiable, and accountability becomes routine rather than optional. This is why institutional reform is praised publicly and resisted privately. Africa does not lack capable people or ideas. What it lacks is enough systems that protect decisions from politics and personalities. When institutions are strong, leaders matter less and citizens matter more, which is not a threat to leadership but its foundation. Africa's long-term development will not be decided by who speaks most convincingly, but by which countries build systems that last beyond speeches. Institutions are not the opposite of progress. They are how progress becomes durable.